bastard. Hack that guy. Say the story about the rabbits fucking the bear stories for the children. Oh god, I don't remember it. That was complete random gibberish. Right, so there was these two rabbits that went into the forest, and as you know, rabbits, normally, they kind of get it on, well, like rabbits. So these two rabbits went into the forest, and to survive, they would thought, right, well, if we have to survive, it's better than just having one person. Two is good, but you get a better chance of surviving with two. But if you're trying to survive with children, it's not a good idea, because you have to worry about them, you have to see where they're going, and how much money you've got, but even though they're rabbits, they don't use money, but they have to build a bigger, they have to build a bigger burrow, and it's difficult because then you got more mouths to feed. So they thought, right, do you know what, we're not going to do that. What we're going to do is we're just going to survive in the forest. So when they went into the forest, they went real deep. They found a lot of twigs and berries and grass, and they found a pre-done sort of like old foxhole. But then they found that the fox dead, like about 3 miles past where they were. Unfortunately, then they found that whilst that happened, and they decided, bollocks. When they decided to go looking to see what had killed the fox, they realised that it was a lot bigger than just them. It turns out it was 2 bears, and the 2 big bears were just like, do you know what? We're gonna fucking eat you, because, you know, you're smaller than us, and we're higher in the food chain, so shut up. And they were like, no, I didn't even see that one. I was concentrating too much on the story. Fuck. Balls. Balls. Right, okay, so, the 2 rabbits decided to keep, they started running, and they just started running and running and running, but of course, rabbits are nice and fast and small, but bears are big, so all the bears, like, these 2 bears were chasing them down for a good, like, hour and a half, until the bears were like, oh man, we're knackered, and, like, they fucking gave up, whilst the rabbits were just like, yeah, bitches, made it home free, suck our rabbit balls. Balls. So, they went back into the burrow that they had found, which was the fox den, but it's now there, so it's a fox, it's a rabbit burrow, but I don't give a shit, and neither did they, because they had a free house, and when you know what it's like getting a free house is awesome, especially when you can have a party, so that's what they did, they went and had a party. These 2, what the fuck am I talking about, these 2 rabbits decided, let's have a fucking house party, burrow party. So they decided this mad party where they invited all the different types of rabbits over of their friends, a couple of voles and a couple of mice and shit every fucking goddamn time that this one guy kept coming over. He kept blocking up the front door, and he thought it'd be really funny because then no one could find where they were living, and they were like, stop doing that, like seriously, this is our house, don't fuck it up, because you know I can't stand it when you fucking block up my front door, because it gets on my tits. Yes, my little rabbity tits get very, very annoyed when you keep doing this. So what they did was shit everywhere to stop him from getting past, and he was like, oh guys, that's disgusting. And they're like, well, we're rabbits, that's what happens, we've got a bad digestive system, too much of the nutrients comes out in our poo, so we have to eat our poo all the time. So that's why if you ever see rabbits eating poo, it's not because they're disgusting, it's because they have to survive. You know, like Bear Grylls, he decides that I have to go and I have to eat these random bugs in the forest, and it's just like, that's fucking bastarding disgusting, where he crunches and like all the goop comes out, and it's like, oh my god, it's fucking horrible. But you know, that's just life. Back to the rabbits. So the rabbits were eating their own poo, and they're having this great party, and all the rabbits were pooing, and they were all eating each other's poo, and they were like, oh, I see you had like this for dinner, and fuck, I wasn't even looking at what I was eating there, and he's like, oh god, it was so tasty, and that got me off guard. Shit. Oh god. So they're all eating each other's poo, and they're like, oh, you had some really nice berries and stuff the other day. He's like, I know, I've got like another big pile of poo over here that's got more berries in it. And they were like, yeah, let's go eat poo berries. And then they all started laughing because they're like, poo berries. So after eating the poo berries, they were just like, right, we need to get some more music up in this bitch. So they started playing Geometry Dash on their tiny little rabbit computer, which didn't work very well because it's a rabbit computer and on an Apple computer, and it works a bit slow, but it's like, it's enough to play like Geometry Dash on, so they're all happy. So they're playing Geometry Dash, and there's these 2, like, you know, there's these 2 guys that are watching the 2 rabbits, and everyone else is having a party. And this mole comes over, and he starts bumping into them, and crashing into the fucking triangles, and they're like, stop distracting me. We're trying to complete this difficult level. And you know, the mole's just like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm blind, it's not my fucking fault, I'm disabled. And they're like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. And the mole went away and ate some worms in the wall. So the rabbits were like, oh yeah, let's keep doing this. So as the 2 guys are watching, they were like, oh, these rabbits aren't too bad. They're really, really fucking good at this level. so they continued to play different levels and ended up doing really well and beating like all the demon levels in the game. And they're like, yeah, badass motherfucker. And then the other two sat down and they kept dying on like the first level of the normal stuff. And it was like, yeah, no, it's fine. You know, it's all good. So after they'd had partied for at least 16 hours straight, because fucking rabbits keep partying and fucking, they ended up obviously having many children. So they ended up having 14 children, which obviously was a bad idea in the first place, because they said no, that they didn't want this to happen. And they were like, right, so what are we going to do? So they decided what they were going to do is to fuck some more, and ended up making more fucking babies. And then they were like, right, we're in trouble now, we're going to have to eat some to get some to survive. So they had to choose 14 out of the 28 of them that they liked the most, and they did that. So what they did was they ate up the other 14, and then they fucking fed them to the other ones, and everything was all great. They had lots to eat, and they put the bones at the front so other animals be like, oh shit, there's something really dangerous in there eating baby rabbits. That's fucking horrible. What kind of sadistic bastard would do that? Even in the wild, that's not cool. So this owl was all like, ooh, I like the sound of this guy because I like eating little baby things like rats and voles and moles and like other kind of crazy tiny shit. And in the end, they became friends. I know, right? You'd think that, you know, owls and rabbits and stuff wouldn't be fucking friends, but they ended up being friends. And the owl helped them out, and it was all grand, and like until one day that the owl accidentally ate one of their own. One of the rabbit's babies, and he was like, oh, I'm so sorry, but like, you know, now you got one less mouth to feed. And they were like, oh yeah, no, it's fine, don't be worrying about it, it's all good, you know, you sort of helped us out, we're kind of pissed at you, but you know, you gotta eat, you gotta fly, you gotta do shit. Tacky mushrooms are fucking fantastic for rabbit stew. Not that we would know anything about that since we're rabbits and we just sort of like ate them anyway. So the owl was like, I'm really sorry, I feel really bad. So the owl committed seppuku in front of them with a homemade wooden stick shiv, and they were like, oh my god, that's so horrible. As he lay there, he's like, remember my fucking path. And they were like, we don't understand what you mean, path. And then the owl died, and the rabbits were like, well, that's really, really sad. Fuck! So sad! So fucking sad! So they buried him, and they gave him a name, which was Julius the Owl. And they thought, you know what, we're gonna commemorate his amazing honesty of eating one of our children. So they named one of their children after Julius. So it was Julius the Rabbit, named after Julius the Owl, eater of one of the babies. And they decided that, okay, we've gotten this far, so we can only hope for the best now, and we've got to keep fucking moving and getting under, you know, life's like issues, so you don't have to deal with them as much as you'd have to. You can just sort of get under and around them, you'll be fine, and things will be fine. But, you know, sometimes things doesn't work out like that, and it came up to the winter, and another 4 of the babies died, so, you know, that sucked, but at least they had, like, something to eat, and that all the things lasted for a while, because they were frozen. They died, in the, like, out in the snow, so the meat stayed for a while, and they were like, oh cool, we've got fucking food for a while. It's nice not having to eat fucking berries and shit anymore. Now we can eat, like, frozen rabbits. Which was great, because by the end of the winter they had decided they'd managed to run out of the other 4 rabbits, which obviously was a very short winter, considering that wouldn't last, you know, what, like 9, 8 rabbits, 10 rabbits in total, with the 2 big ones left. And, yeah, so fuck they did, and made more, and then they ate the other ones, so they ended up ending up with maybe 10 baby rabbits after killing all the other 14, apart from one which was eaten by Julius the Owl, God rest his soul. They kept the other Julius alive because they wanted to remember where he was in their lives by eating children. And that's how that ended. So they decided, right, we're gonna go somewhere nice for the summer. And they decided, let's go to the lake, into the lake burrow. And they went and they made a burrow beside the lake, and it was all great. And then all of a sudden, the really fucking season happened, and it fucking filled up the hole whilst they were all asleep, and the lake burst its banks, and only one of the rabbits made it out alive because the other ones drowned and they couldn't get out because they got lost in their own burrow, and rabbits can't swim, so that makes sense. So there was only one rabbit left who was very, 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 very sad that he lost his entire family and his rabbit lover, and Julius, of course. So what he did was he found another rabbit and he asked if they wanted to go out, and she said, "Fuck off! I don't like you. You don't know where you're going, and you've attempted too much in this life, and you need to go, find someone else that cares." And he was very, very sad and got very, very depressed about it, and ended up getting very, very ill. And when the burrow had completely been drained of all the water, since they would live under the earth, it had gone back into the fucking earth. He went back in and buried all of his rabbit family, and it was only him left. So he decided, I'm gonna go eat berries and shit because that's how I survive, because I'm a rabbit and I've got a bad digestive system, and that is how I survive, is by eating my own shit because I'm a rabbit. It's horrible, and people put their faces on my faces and kiss pet rabbits, which is disgusting, but that's for another time. So he decides, I'm gonna go somewhere nice and sunny. So he goes out to the meadow and he finds a deer, and the deer's like, "Oh, hello rabbit, you seem a bit depressed, what's the problem?" And he was just like, "Yes, my entire fucking family died in many different accidents, and my friend Jerome died. He was an owl, he ate one of my children, committed ritual seppuku." And the deer was like, "What's seppuku?" And he was just like, "It's where you jam something sharp into your stomach and slice your insides, watch them all fall out because you don't want to give up any information." And the deer was like, "Oh dear God, that was horrible. The best I got is doing weird shits in the wood and getting shot by hunters. If you look at my leg, I actually been shot in the leg because bastarding hunters." And he noticed that it was like a shotgun sort of wound or something, which had ripped the entire back end of his leg off. And the rabbit was like, "Oh dear God, that's horrible. How are you doing like that? How are you surviving?" And he's just like, "Perseverance. The ability to, to make yourself think, I can do this, I can keep going. This is why I'm bad. I'm endearing it." And they both had a really, really good laugh at that joke, because the rabbit had nothing to fucking laugh about in ages. So they had a really good laugh at that joke. And then they went off on an adventure into the hills, where they were halfway up the hill and the deer's leg started to give way. So the rabbit was just like, "Well, I can maybe help you." So they got some twigs together and some grass, and they made like a wooden splint, which allowed the deer to walk properly. He couldn't run still. He could not run. But I mean, if he got shot in the leg, I don't think he could run either. But the deer was like, "Oh, I can at least walk now. Thank you very much, rabbit. I appreciate it. You are a good friend, and I appreciate everything you fucking do for me in this life." Right, I can't. Oh, Jesus. 50%, I'm happy with that. How long was